All right, let's jump right in. Today's explainer is your definitive, professional market playbook for scaling a business in Bangladesh. Look, if you've been keeping an eye on the South Asian economic landscape, you already know Bangladesh has exploded into one of the absolute most promising business destinations out there. We're talking a profound shift, right? Moving from a heavily agrarian economy to a highly diversified, fast-paced marketplace. But how do you actually capture that value? How do you really scale? Well, put your consultant hat on, because today we are unpacking the exact field-tested strategies and operational playbooks you need to make that happen. Here's the roadmap for our briefing today. First, the Bangladesh growth opportunity. Second, the top 10 growth strategies. Third, the startup survival checklist. Then, a guide for foreign investors. And finally, due diligence and local partners.
Section 1. The Bangladesh growth opportunity. Let's look at how the data is dictating a massive strategic advantage here. Our market research points to an expanding middle class and a massive wave of digital transformation that is fundamentally shifting the buying behavior of over 170 million consumers. Just let that number sink in for a second. 170 million. That is a staggeringly large domestic market. But honestly, it's not just the sheer volume of people, it's the actual composition of this market that's so exciting. We're looking at a rapidly expanding middle-income population, and they are demanding better products, high-quality services, premium branded goods, and seamless digital solutions. Add in the widespread smartphone and internet adoption, and you've got customers who are comparing and buying entirely online. This digital transformation is opening up literally unprecedented growth channels across healthcare, retail, tech, finance, you name it. Now, we need to draw a very clear line in the sand between starting a business and actually growing one. Starting, well, that's just your initial setup. It's registering the company, getting the launch sorted, officially opening the doors. Many entrepreneurs pull that off successfully, but true business growth, that is an entirely different beast. It's a delicate balancing act of increasing your revenue, yes, but also driving profitability, tightening up operational efficiency, and actually retaining those customers. So many businesses make the fatal mistake of obsessing over top-line revenue while completely starving their operational excellence. If you want to win here, you've got to balance the whole shebang simultaneously. Section 2, the top 10 growth strategies. Let's get right into the core framework of our playbook. Now, as a professional consultant, I see companies get bogged down in endless lists all the time, so we've categorized these 10 universal growth strategies into 3 highly actionable pillars. Pillar 1 is market and brand. You literally cannot operate without a clear business roadmap, so start there. Then, you've got to understand your customers better than anyone else through deep research into their purchasing power. Build a rock-solid brand identity. Heavily invest in digital marketing, like targeted Google ads, and absolutely prioritize customer retention. Remember, acquiring a new customer is way more expensive than keeping an existing one happy. Okay, moving to Pillar 2, operations and team. This is all about scale. Diversify your sales channels, think B2B or even export markets. Then zero in on operational efficiency. Scaling without standardized processes is just a recipe for disaster. You have to reduce waste. Oh, and you have to build a high-performance team and delegate. Otherwise, you become the biggest bottleneck in your own company. Finally, Pillar 3 is expansion and innovation. This means diversifying your products to create new revenue streams and, crucially, forming strategic partnerships. Look into joint ventures or industry associations because no business scales entirely on its own. Section 3, the Startup Survival Checklist. Let's pivot to focus specifically on the local entrepreneurs and founders entering this space. The startup ecosystem in Bangladesh is incredibly vibrant, but surviving those early days requires brutal operational discipline. So here is your step-by-step survival checklist. Step 1. Validate market demand. Do not launch without rigorous testing to ensure people actually want what you're selling. Step 2, and I literally cannot stress this enough, manage your cash flow. Cash flow crunches are the absolute #1 killer of early-stage startups. You have to monitor your working capital like a hawk. Step 3, start lean. Keep your overhead as low as humanly possible. Strip out every unnecessary expense until your revenue model is bulletproof. And step 4, build customer relationships early. Strong connections create powerful word-of-mouth momentum, which is pure gold in Bangladesh. Young founders, seriously, use your natural tech savviness, but also go find experienced mentors to shortcut your learning curve. Section 4, Guide for Foreign Investors. For international capital looking to establish a footprint, we need to shift our approach entirely.
The macro opportunity here is totally obvious, right? But the micro execution, the day-to-day reality of operating in a totally new cultural and regulatory environment is where cross-border ventures either thrive or tank. As this quote from Mostafizur Rahman at Canvas Inc. perfectly points out, bringing in an understanding of those cross-border dynamics adds real, tangible value. Leaning on a trusted local consultant isn't just a nice-to-have, it is an absolute prerequisite for navigating these complex nuances. So, my strict advice for foreign companies entering the market is to meticulously follow these exact steps. Do not fall into the trap of assuming what worked back home will automatically work here. First, you absolutely have to nail down the local regulations. Company registration, complex tax codes, and licensing compliance, no cutting corners. Next, conduct deep, localized market research. Consumer preferences in Dhaka are going to be vastly different from London or Singapore. Third, build local partnerships. Teaming up with trusted local entities is your fastest way to accelerate market entry and dodge hidden landmines. Fourth, adapt and localize your business models for the Bangladeshi consumer. And finally, recruit local talent. Hire the professionals who inherently understand the domestic market dynamics. You simply can't match that with an all-expat team on day one.
Section 5, Due Diligence and Local Partners. Let's talk about execution, because finding the right local strategic partner is your ultimate growth lever. Let's walk chronologically through how a specialized local consultancy essentially handholds you through this whole process. Phase 1 is business setup and mentorship. They handle the heavy lifting of company registration, trade licenses, and making sure you are 100% legally compliant. Once the foundation is poured, we move to Phase 2, commercial due diligence. This is the deep dive, analyzing competitors and rigorously assessing market demand before you go deploying heavy capital. Then, the magic happens in Phase 3, matchmaking and recruitment. A strong partner will plug you directly into a network of reliable suppliers, eager buyers, and top-tier distributors across the country. Finally, Phase 4 is all about expansion and export support. Whether that's executing sophisticated digital campaigns or facilitating international market access for your locally manufactured goods. Having professional guidance through these 4 phases literally saves you from costly overexpansion and massive financial missteps. I want to leave you with one final, provocative question. The market is ready. Is your growth strategy? Think critically about whether you are truly prepared to execute in one of Asia's most promising markets. The 170 million consumers are there, the digital infrastructure is booming, and the macro conditions are fantastic. But remember, growth isn't automatic. It takes disciplined execution, rigorous due diligence, ultra-lean operations for startups, and hyper-smart localization for foreign investors. Take a hard look at your current roadmap. Are you just chasing top-line vanity metrics, or are you actually building a rock-solid foundation for sustainable profitability? The market is ready, for sure. Make sure your strategy is too. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you next time.